Let me. You got my picture? Have you got sound?
Well, you sound good to me, buddy. How are you?
Okay, great. Yes. How are you?
Oh man, wonderful now that you're here. Listen, man, everybody's week, everybody's day gets better when Simon Williamson walks into their life. The
Oh,
magic
sure.
happens. There he is, the legend. How you been, man? We miss you.
Okay. Yes. Good. Yes.
Yeah.
I've had a nice busy time in June. I was over in Toronto, Canada, and then Sioux Falls for a big charity convention run by Voices Against Cancer, and
Good.
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw
I've
your
got
buddy What?
I've just had the one thing which was a couple of days ago. Um, uh, what's it called? Torquay, very small one in the
Mm,
southwest of England. And for the rest of August, I seem to be free. And September's quite busy. I have three conventions. So,
good,
yeah,
good. Well, the people
a nice
know that
balance.
the magic doesn't happen unless you book Max Rebo. Max
Oh,
Rebo
well,
and Wall Slug. Max Rebo and Wall Slug and Gammorian, right? The Gammorian. One of the many, many roles Simon
I didn't
Williamson
do the
played.
wall slug. I'm a floor slug.
Floor Slug. I'm sorry, I got your
Yes,
slug
six,
positioning
six.
wrong.
Yes. Yeah. You
Yeah,
got
no.
your slugs mixed up there.
How dare I get my slugs mixed up? Like, the ghost of Richard Marquand is shouting at me, going, "How you dumb asshole!" Anyway, um, yeah, those are good stops. I've seen you've been busy. I just saw your buddy Toby Philpott last week. We were talking about you. I am trying to work a miracle to get you guys into a Christmas Carol. I know you haven't heard
Mm,
about it recently. I've been working I've got places that'll do signings with you, so I'm
wow.
confident you can make a few bucks.
Right.
But I
Yes.
just haven't been able to get. I've got two sponsors on board to handle like things like theater rental, and I'm trying to land a third one. Which, if I can swing it in the next few days here or soon, I'll reach out immediately and say, "Can you book a ticket? I can cover it and cover your
Excellent.
expenses."
So is it going to
So
be sort of November time, November, December time,
yeah, it's a
as would be
Friday night
logical
this
with the
year.
Christmas Carol? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about doing it in June, but it just didn't have the same sort of sense of magic to it as it
No,
does in November.
no.
Um,
Yes.
but yeah, it's going to be November 21st. I
Oh,
mean,
right. Okay.
it could be a
All right.
fun few days for you in Los Angeles, it's in Beverly Hills. It's not exactly a
Uh-huh.
rough neighborhood, you know? And I mean, hey, what I should do is if I can make it happen till the Christmas parade, guys, you're coming out. Maybe they book you for the Hollywood Christmas parade too.
All right. What is the Hollywood Christmas parade? I'd not. I don't know much about it.
So it's a parade we do every year in Hollywood. It's actually televised.
Oh.
It's something of a big holiday tradition, though I've never watched it. I'm not a parade
Uh-huh.
guy though. I'm not a parade dude. But they get all the celebrities to do it. The Grand Marshals, the Star Wars guys do it.
Uh-huh. Great.
So who knows? Lots of possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for today, we're catching up with everyone's favorite floor slug, Simon Williamson. Everyone's favorite rebel
Nobody
pilot.
wants the photo, by the way. I had a load of photos made and I sold about two in a year. Because he's not
Really?
in the movie, you see. He's kind of like a curio. Oh, this is a character that was going to be in the film, but wasn't in the final one. So you'd
Huh.
think some people would be Uber collectors would be really interested in that.
Yeah, I
And the
would think.
same, I've had a photo made of Ika Sulko, who was a calamari rebel pilot from the deleted scenes, which
Yeah,
Tim Rose was the main puppeteer, and I did the flippers at the side.
I uh, I want that photo. I'm going to put in a request for photos. Let me know what I owe
Okay.
you and how to send it, because I'm going to do it for our charity auction. But I
Yeah.
um I look at a lot of that stuff and I go, oh man, I can see people like, wait, you're the 666 slug guy, and just going berserk. What's his name?
He's called
666 or
6 6 6
six?
6.
Oh, so they cut the numbers off right before it insinuated Satan.
Yeah. Except I think he's 6 6 as SIC 6.
Oh, I see.
So
So
yeah, they do play around with
yeah.
the meanings of the words. So the
Yeah, that
name,
George
yeah,
George Lucas is clever, isn't he? He's
yeah. Mm,
But I agree with you that I think people would jump on that because it's such a rare item. That's where the market's gone
mm,
on that stuff. Like most people, they have the signatures they want. Now they want these really nifty, cool, like elements that are not as easily trafficked, I suppose.
mm, mm.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But hey, man, I buy it from you. But then again, I'm a Simon Williamson fan. I'm a Simon Williamson fan. What do you? So at these conventions, and I got something I want to show you in a minute. And Toby Philpott
Okay.
and I we were having a big laugh about you and how much we both miss you. And we've both been seeing you on the convention circuit too, killing it. And I do think sincerely you're a great guest for that stuff. You are so good in a room. Um,
It's good for Star Wars. Some of the ones which aren't specifically geared towards Star Wars, I don't do as well. So the one I just did on a couple of days ago on Saturday in Torquay, there's only two guests, and the other guest is a guy called Ronnie Ledrew,
yeah,
who's a
I,
puppeteer who had a famous children's character called Zippo, Zippy and Bungle, Zippy.
yeah,
So he bought his Zippy. He was busy all day, and I was kind of struggling. So, but it was very children orientated. It was a
right.
family day. It's a sunny bank holiday, so you know the
Ronnie
kids would
Ledrew,
find. Yeah.
yeah, no, Ronnie, we've had him on the show, and Ronnie is kind of what I would define as like the UK's equivalent of Mr. Rogers. Like he's tough to beat in a room with kids,
Mm,
just because, but I would also assume like these things I don't understand, which is why I have to turn it over to the experts because I would have thought you would have been busy too, especially with your new prints, because I tell people all the time, Simon Williamson is 60% of Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi. He is 60% of that movie, it seems like.
oh, talking of that, because well, I'd forgotten entirely about the Rebel pilot because until it disappeared in the
Yeah.
deleted scenes on the Blu-ray. So I remember when it was brought to my attention. There's a bit of film and there's instructions coming off screen from do that again with the hand, Simon. I thought, I remember it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was something else I'd forgotten, which appeared in the an interview with Ailsa Burke, who
Hmm.
played a Man, and she's talking about rehearsing it, and she said, "Oh yes, and the arm was controlled by a puppeteer, Simon Williamson, a puppeteer below set. So I also do part of a Man."
Oh, that's good. That's amazing. I know that clip you're talking about, that behind the scenes featurette. It's been making the rounds. And
Uh-huh.
is that who is it that's talking to you? Is that the AD? Jerry Bullock's brother, right? Is that the guy that's doing that? Somebody's
Oh,
giving you
oh,
instructions.
right. Oh, yes, yes.
And it's funny because there's a few clips that are mixed in of different actors taking a
Uh-huh.
crack at their roles, and it gets a little
Yeah,
ridiculous on what you're being told to say and what you're saying back. Like
yes,
at one
that's
point,
right.
it's like somebody's like, "I ordered fish and chips. Damn it!"
Yes.
It's literally, and they're saying, I mean, knowing full well that the characters are going to be dubbed, many of them. It's
Dubbed,
like,
yes.
yeah, it's like
Going
I
to be
told you
dubbed
not to
into
be drunk
American
at the
accent.
pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but they got these great reactions from the puppeteers, and there's like an Admiral Akbar looking guy too, and he's just like, I'm not
Yeah,
drunk, I
that's the
swear.
rebel pilot. That's
Yeah,
the rebel
yeah.
pilot at the Akbar, who's called Ernie Akbar on the call sheets, but now
Mm,
he's called Ika Sulko, and there's
okay.
some kind of rationale behind it. It's sort of it stands for the initial stands for something. Yeah,
Okay.
intergalactic something or other.
It's
Uh,
amazing that there's now entire groups dedicated to creating these histories, taking a character, naming it for marketing and, toys or
yeah,
whatever, but
yeah.
also it needs a backstory. So we'll write it because George Lucas is busy, and
Mm,
out
mm.
comes the creative guns. And it's kind of fascinating to watch.
And
It's
now with all the series that have come, they're kind of
yeah,
finding they have to develop more backstory. So
right.
do they keep it consistent with the stuff that's been created by others, or do they go back to basics with George Lucas? So I don't know. But
And that
I'm working my way through. Finally, I finally subscribed to Disney Plus, and I'm working my way through the whole Star Wars universe.
you
So I'm
gave
on
in.
Ahsoka at the moment.
Yes, you gave in, Simon. You caved.
Yeah.
It's funny because Toby and I were talking about that very thing about how so many characters that you guys played have been showing up, and now it's all done through the computer,
Mm.
and how much we both kind of would have appreciated in his case for the Mandalorian or for the Book of Boba Fett, like a real Jabba that almost for nostalgic
Mm.
reasons they would bring him out to do or bring
Yes.
him out to
Yes.
see or do a moment in, just
Yeah.
for like Smithsonian purposes. And I thought the same with you because I saw Max Rebo showed up.
Well, yes, I didn't, I would have loved, I've been waiting for years for something else to happen with Max Rebo. And then lo and behold, Book of Boba Fett turns around, someone else doing a kind of not such a good costume, I would say, not such a good puppet.
I think, yeah, I agree. And it kind of messes with the lineage. And you know what I think we need? I think we need to start with a couple of like rated R graphic novels, like Max Rebo's Roadside Band of Vengeance, and do like a Blues Brothers movie with Max Rebo as the star
Hmm.
and like the Hut Band, you
Yes.
know? And they have a rivalry with like the Cantina Band from the first movie.
Uh-huh.
So they show up at each other's intergalactic gigs, and there's like the chicken wire or like the force field, so people don't throw their beer on them, like in the Blues
Yeah.
Brothers, and they end up doing
Yeah.
Rawhide and songs like that. Anyway,
Although there is a Max Rebo Disney comic came
yeah,
out
I
about a
heard.
year and a half ago, and it's got about three different covers, so which is quite nice. I get to sign three different covers of the same story, but in the story itself, Max Rebo is kind of existentially depressed. It doesn't kind of suit him somehow.
What? Yeah.
He's obsessed with death,
Oh,
impending death, and yes, it's quite dark.
who who puts these elements in place? Who's trying to bring us down? It's like the Zack Snyder's Max Rebo universe. It's like let's take this joyous character and bring it
Yeah,
way down.
yeah.
Like let's make sure our suicide hotlines are busy when they see this. It's ridiculous. But I know what you're saying. I think
I
you're
think,
on a
but he
cover.
works through his depression by the end of the comic, so that's one
Good.
thing.
Good
But
for
yeah,
him. You guys, I
and he
think
has
you're also,
dialogue too, which I
does
didn't
he?
have in the movie.
Huh. How dare they give that guy dialogue without running it by
Exactly.
you first? I'm the political damage here is offensive. The thing about it, I think I saw like an old Starlog with you on it. You and David Bowie, I think. Or there's some other legend on the
Oh
cover of it
yes,
with you.
oh God, it's not that. It's if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's not a Starlog. It's I can't remember the name of the magazine. It's a general film magazine, and
Yeah.
it's got David Bowie and Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence,
Oh,
Max Rebo. The first time I'd ever seen a picture of Max Rebo,
yeah.
Sean Connery from Never Say Never Again, and something else, all on the front cover.
Yeah. And I think it's properly placed with Max Rebo up front where he belongs, and those guys kind of minimize like, oh, and these other dudes are doing these movies.
Yeah,
A Bond rehash with some guy named Connery and Bowie doing a World War II epic with Sakamoto.
yeah, yes.
Well, what you really want, kids, is the blue elephant from Return of the
Mm.
Jedi. Do you still have some of the toys?
Rebo's got the beat, and the band plays on. You can relive it all with Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection. Introducing Size Noodles and the Rebo Band. Jabba the Hutt action playset sold separately.
Play it again, Si. Starring Size Noodles, Droopy McCool on clarinet, Max Rebo on organ. Ribbit, Rebo. Dance, Droopy. It's your last solo, Snoodles. Whoa.
New Size Noodles and the Rebo Band. Jabba the Hutt action playset sold separately from Kenner's Star Wars
Yeah, I've bought them more recently. I didn't buy them when they came out, but I've sort of picked up a few things as time goes on. The more recent stuff, so plushies
How
and thing.
how did you not buy that toy when it came out? Like, how did you
It was
manage?
it was very hard to find actually. The kind of
Really?
yeah, it's a kind of
You know what?
2 or 3 characters. Yeah.
There is a remote possibility, and it's very remote. But if this turns out to be true, it's yours. I think in a trunk somewhere, some of my figures from when I was a kid are like buried for like archaeological purposes. There might be a Rebo in there with keyboard. And if that's the case, it's my gift to you.
I've got some loose ones. I'll find what I've got.
There it is.
That one?
Yeah.
I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. And interestingly, I got these in Japan, only sold in Japan, tops of Pepsi bottles. And there's a whole range of them. So I got the Max Rebo one, but they did other Star Wars characters. They're really nicely designed. And this one I picked up secondhand somewhere, which is kind of metal.
Now, when we were kids and we played with that toy, we had it envisioned that he would hit certain keys, and on the keyboard paneling, these flaps would go down and machine guns would come out, and he'd be able to just do like a circular motion and just mow the room down. That there was much more to Max Rebo than just bringing you some classy jazz music to the Bounty Hunters Lounge there and Return of the Jet. But anyway, those are the things you do when you're 6 years old. You're like, this guy's not just playing the piano here. No, we're not.
The flaps did come down on set when I depressed the keys, and the whole idea of having smoke around the Jabba the Palace set was that beams of light would shoot out into the middle of the kind of gloomy, smoky atmosphere. But I don't think it kind of practically worked well enough for that to come across.
Well, I certainly love the performance as it's cut in the film. I would have loved to see the floor slug, but that's only because it's you. Now, you're also the guard, I think, that goes down in the pit with Luke, right? Or is down in the pit?
Yes.
Jedi.
The Rancor monster.
Have you seen Hamill at any of these conventions? Because I would think that would be a hot photograph to recreate.
No, I haven't. No.
I'm surprised. Simon Williamson, he cannot be contained in one event.
Yes.
That doesn't even make sense logistically. Hey, I want to show you something real quick and get your thoughts on it. So hang with me for one moment.
Okay.
Our next movie is the latest installment in the most phenomenally popular serial in movie history. It's Return of the Jedi, the third chapter in the saga of Star Wars. And maybe the best way to review this film is just to simply say that producer George Lucas and his Star Wars team have done it again. This is the kind of movie we've come to expect in the Star Wars series, a combination of strong plotting, lots of action, swashbuckling melodrama, corny philosophy with apologies to followers of the Force, and also the most mind-boggling special effects in the history of the movies. Here's a scene from earlier in the film as our old android friends C-3PO and R2-D2 are approaching the fortress of the evil Jabba the Hutt to beg for Han Solo's release.
R2, are you sure this is the right place? They'd better knock, I suppose. There doesn't seem to be anyone here. Let's go back and tell Master Luke. Goodness gracious me.
Anka, Ajuha Blinky.
R2-D2.
Aku. Manani Tishu.
Bo, say, 3-P-O-R.
Zinaiki.
Tuta,
Unitudan.
Mishka, Jabaduhat.
Kuchu. Duanki. Might be cousin.
I don't think they're going to let us in, R2. We'd better go.
Archie, wait for me!
Later in the film, on an alien moon, there's a great chase sequence with flying motorcycles.
Go for help, go! Great, come on.
Over there! Two more of them!
I see them. Wait, Leia! Hey, wait! Quick, jam their comlink. Center switch. Move closer. Get alongside that one.
Now, of course, you might not unreasonably ask why they didn't avoid all those problems by simply flying above the treetops. But you don't ask questions like that about movies like Return of the Jedi. This movie has all of the plausibility of a Saturday afternoon serial and all of the fun, too. Here's one of the battles in outer space the Star Wars movies have become famous for. Billy D. Williams is leading an attack on Darth Vader's Death Star.
Red leader standing by.
Gray leader standing by.
Green leader standing by. Lock S files in attack position.
May the Force be with us.
We've got to be able to get some kind of reading on that shield, up or down. Well, how could they be jamming us if they don't know if we're coming? Break off the attack. The shield is still up.
I got no reading. You sure?
Pull up.
All craft, pull up.
Take a base of action. Green group, stay across the holding sector and each other.
Admiral, we have enemy ships in Sector 47.
It's a trap.
Fighters coming in.
If you didn't know better, you'd say they went into outer space to shoot that on location. George Lucas claims that there are about twice as many different special effects in Jedi that there were in the original Star Wars movie, and that the space battles, like the one we just saw, are at least twice as complex. He says if you went back to look at Star Wars now, it would look a little bit old-fashioned. Well, I don't know, but they use computers to program those amazing flying images and make them look like the biggest video arcade game on Earth. But beneath the technical achievements, Return of the Jedi is a wonderful movie filled with a lot of new and imaginative characters. There's the reptilian and loathsome Jabba the Hutt, the cuddly little Ewoks, and the nasty little rat-like aliens who scurry around in the corners of the movie. This movie answers all of the basic questions we've been asking for the last two movies about the Star Wars characters. We finally learn the secrets of Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia. And with this third movie, now the stories of those human characters come to a close, although Lucas says he eventually hopes to make 6 more Star Wars movies, and based on what he's done so far, I sure do hope that he does.
I do, too. I can't wait to see this one again, and I want the other ones to come out much quicker than one every 3 years. When I see a picture like this, I'm in sort of awe as a critic of how every level of the filmmaking, the sound, the music, the acting, the storytelling, everything is hitting at the highest level.
It's perfectionism.
This is, you know, it's hundreds of thousands of details, literally, all coming together. The sound in that the space bike thing, Ben Burt is the sound guy, John Williams is doing the music. These are all professionals out there making a fabulous contribution.
You may have put your finger on one of the reasons why these movies are so successful. Nobody before in the history of films has ever bothered to make a story this simple and universal with that many great technical credits. Usually when they make a story like this, they throw it away on a $200,000 Universal science fiction picture from the 1950s.
Yes.
But to bring the special effects and the technical credits and the imagination and the perfectionism to this story so that it really works so well on that level is probably part of the reason that we like it.
I think it is, and one other thing that hasn't been credited enough, I think, is the acting. You know, because it's a science fiction movie or a space movie, whatever, the actors are thought of as just cartoon characters. These actors are very good playing against puppets, saying cornball lines, and I think that this Mark Hamill particularly really matured in this film, and it was fun to watch his character grow up.
I think I'm going to miss Harrison Ford with that eyebrow like this when something funny happens and he kind of looks like this. We're going to miss that for a while.
They've become friends to us, all of these characters.
Two big bravos, though, for Return of the Jedi. The creators of Star Wars have done it again.
So there you have it. Simon Williamson and some of his friends making magic in the original Return of the Jedi. You were saying something off mic there a little bit. You were laughing through some of it too, as well. But
yeah,
what were your thoughts on that?
I can't remember what the laughs were about. They weren't kind of mocking or anything, but appreciation and reminding myself of certain things. Yeah.
Fun to see.
It still holds up pretty well, even in that VHS quality on the clip, on the YouTube clip.
I think it does hold up, and I thought it was interesting that Siskel pointed out the acting skill set against puppets and with the dialogue, and Ebert pointed out the level of technical expertise throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
So it becomes one of those things where, you know, you really do like what those guys really do have a lot of respect for. And it's interesting to see some of your friends in those clips too. Is that you? Are you the guard that comes up against R2-D2? Does he run into you? Or
no, I don't. I think that was an extra, probably, because Hugh Spite and I ended up doing most of the Gammorian guards at a certain point in the film, because as I understood it, an extra had been in the Gammorian costume and had kind of wilted, you know, sort of losing energy and flopping on the floor because it was heavy and etc. So we said, we did all this stuff in Dark Crystal. Let's give you a demonstration of how we think the Gammorians guard should move. And they liked it. And then I think we were the go-to first Gammorian guards of preference from that point onwards.
Right. Yeah. Put that chapter in your book, Gammorian guards of preference. Are you the one that like bats or is that Hugh who bats like the little alien tentacle coming down the hallway? Or...
I think that's Hugh batted the tentacle.
Yeah.
But when we push whoever it is, I can't remember whether that's the scene of pushing Han Solo into the thing or if it's Chewbacca. But I punch the exit, the button on the door to close the prison cell door.
Well, leave it to
back towards shot.
Leave it to both you Shakespeareans to chew the scenery when you have a moment. Hugh making sure he bats an alien tentacle, and you to give Harrison Ford just that extra kick. Like, take that, Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, my ass. Not here. Anyway, it's funny to see. Also, Mike Quinn shows up. Lando is in it. A bunch of combat radio regulars are in these clips, which is kind of fun to see. And we've broken it down time and again, even outtakes. We've broken down with some of you guys, but it was great, I think, to see two Hallmark film critics in their day look at this movie with like a sense of wow.
Yes, yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yes, I wonder what they thought with the first Star Wars. The first Star Wars, you know, the what's now called The New Hope. Whether Siskel and Ebert were that enthusiastic or whether they kind of reacted more after the event, after the success of Empire Strikes Back, and then this was the much anticipated third one, and they kind of knew what an amazing effect it was having on the crowds, the moviegoers.
I think if I remember right, they liked the first one, and there's a clip of that too, if you want me to play it for you. But Simon doesn't star in that movie, so it's missing a little bit of the Jedi magic.
There's no point in watching it. It's a waste of time. Yes.
You know, it's got a subpar Cantina band, nothing that compares to Max Rebo. I mean, let's get over ourselves. But yeah, they liked it too. I think they were, you know, it's funny because I misremember these guys. I talk about it with my friends quite a bit because in America, I don't know what it was like where you guys were, but here they were the only critics we saw in California who had their own show, entirely clip driven, which is why we watched it, because they would show you, as you saw, pretty extensive clips. And in these days, there's no video on demand. It's really the only place you could go to get a look at the movie before it came out. And other critics had like parts of TV shows or parts of newscasts. These guys were the only ones I remember, and there probably were others, but the only ones I remember who were like, "This is our show, and we're going to talk about 4 movies," and it was great. So I misremember because I always thought these guys hated everything I loved, but I did remember that they liked this, and of course. We have a soft spot for Jedi because of all our charitable heroes who make appearances in the film and make the movie work, starting with Simon Williamson. And there was a shout out to Toby Philpott's work, right, too, because they mentioned Jabba the Hutt. So I showed it to Toby last week, the same clip, and I think Toby was laughing at that. And he was like, I got to see more of these guys. He was like, I also showed Toby the clip from, what's the one with the plant? Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, because you worked on that too, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
as did Ronnie LaDrew. So
yeah,
and
you and Ronnie go
and about 30 other puppeteers. Yeah.
Right. Did you have a good time on Shop of Horrors? It was Frank Oz, right? Who directed?
Oh yes, it was great fun. It was great fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Frank had, because there's always a lot of time in between setups of shots, so people aren't twiddling their thumbs doing nothing. Frank had a table tennis table set up. So between hand, the crew and the puppeteers were all playing table tennis tournaments.
Yeah.
See, and it's Frank... okay, ready for a shot now. Hang on, I'm just going to serve.
Yeah. Frank knows how to do it. You know, he knows how to take care of people. Yeah, I showed Toby that clip too, and he was explaining. You know, it was interesting because he remembered something new in seeing the review of it.
Oh, right.
You know, and he remembered like, oh, you know, something clicked. And he did talk about how all the puppeteers were jockeying for their moment where, you know, the plant puts like a coin in the jukebox or something and everyone was fighting over like, I want to be that. I want to be that vine. Fun stories like that. And I think that property, that was a remake. Obviously, the original was a Roger Corman movie with Jack Nicholson shot over 2 days. But
was it really shot over just 2 days? Wow.
That's the story that both Corman and Nicholson told.
Wow.
Now, I don't think, I mean, I could see Corman slightly exaggerating, but I don't know that Nicholson would.
Well,
they
Nicholson
basically
played the dentist, Oren, did he?
Yeah, I think so.
Or was he wasn't he a patient of the dentist?
I don't. God, these are trick questions.
I have seen an extract from it years and years ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's a great concept for a film. And now my daughter's cousin, my wife's nephew, if you can follow that, who was in Hamilton, is now the star of it on Broadway. And I thought, that's amazing. This was a movie when I was in high school. And it was a movie back when my parents were like in high school. And now it's like a big Broadway blockbuster. So, yeah. I know I looked for a Siskel and Ebert Dark Crystal clip and could not find one. I was really interested to see what their take was on that because I thought that movie was very innovative.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know you guys had a great time making that, and I know you guys have really, really good memories of working with Jim Henson.
Yeah, the memories are good because of the quality of the work, the fact we had to develop techniques and work in conjunction with the designers to make sure that their inventions could actually be properly brought to life. So it was kind of as much toing and froing, but it was an awfully long shoot. And there were a couple of weeks where, you know, it was kind of hard to carry on. It was just difficult being on one single film for that length of time. So we rehearsed for 6 months and shot for something like 5. So it's nearly a year on that one film.
You know, most people would say that's job security and be ecstatic.
Yeah, it's a bit like actors who then do a West End run.
Yeah.
A West End theatre run. So it's the kind of, most of the time you have to commit yourself to a year's run. Possibly extension. And then what in the theatre, after you've been doing the show for kind of 4 weeks or so, you're doing the same thing, the same time every night, it gets, even though you have the job security, you're kind of looking at the next job, thinking, I hope there's some casting directors in. I might pick up a telly job after this television job. So there's kind of pros and cons about the security thing. But yes, if you actors live with insecurity of work quite often. So yes, it's a nice respite from the search for work to have something for a long time. But the main thing about Dark Crystal was the actual work itself, which was truly groundbreaking.
It was. It's funny when you're talking about commitments in the West End. Richard Johnson, who was the star of The Haunting, was a regular on this show before he passed away. And I remember he said he was doing a play while he was doing The Haunting during the day.
Oh, wow.
And
yes.
he said the same thing. He said, well, that's what we do. We act. And it was like true to like the work ethic that he had. And I think like Carradine had or Vincent Price had, where the rumor was they never said no to a job, or very rarely. And usually it was a logistical no. But, that he was that committed. Like I would shoot The Haunting with Robert Wise and then go and do a play. And I did that like 6 times a week. But getting back to Dark Crystal briefly, that's where it started with you, right? Was that your first movie?
Yes. That was the first job, although before we turned over camera on the first day of shooting of Dark Crystal, we'd done a couple of days on The Great Muppet Caper. So Jim Henson had us kind of trapped there and was teaching us puppeteering techniques once a week, just so we could slot into a couple of days where they needed lots of puppets on The Great Muppet Caper. And I think they finished shooting The Great Muppet Caper on a Friday, and the following Monday, 3 days later, was the first day of shooting of Dark Crystal. So it was really shot back to back in the same studio.
And that's what I like, man.
A lot of logistics to kind of have the 2 different sets on all the sound stages to go from one to the other.
Yeah, because the sets in each film are no joke, especially Crystal. Those sets were very intricate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were on that with Toby Quinn. Who was Hugh on that also?
Hugh was on it. Yes. So us Mystics, there was the choreographer Jean-Pierre Amiel, who sadly died about a year and a bit ago. Sui Ho Lim, who has also died. Hustler Vent, who's died. Richard Slaughter, who's around. Hugh, myself. Am I missing out anyone? That's all I can remember offhand of the Mystics. And then Mike Quinn was part of a Skeksis or 2. Yeah,
I see him occasionally online. He's auctioning off like stolen Dark Crystal parts.
Exactly. Well, I had a little bit of jewelry from one of the Skeksis costumes, which I lifted off the set, and I gave it years ago to a friend of mine. And now I feel I can't really ask for it back, but I really like it now.
Everyone's got their keepsakes that they're now auctioning off. And then you guys bounce right from that, I think, right into Return of the Jedi, Toby said.
It's not a lot. I actually did a little job in between the 2, but it was, a few months. That's all. Which, as we were talking about actors out of work, that didn't seem, too out of the ordinary to wait a couple of months or so. Yeah. So the job I did was I did one of the BBC Shakespeare's, one of the history plays, Henry VI Part 2.
Right, because you had to learn fencing, right? Didn't you have to learn fencing for that?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they wanted fencers. They wanted people to do the fights, which was going to be swords. And so Huss Levent trained me on the back lot one day of Dark Crystal. And after a couple of days of that, I got on the back of his motorbike and we drove from Elstree into TV Centre in West London, did the audition. And then I think we phoned up and said, is there still stuff to shoot? So we either didn't go back or we did go back later that day. I'm not sure, but we weren't missed, and it was a quiet day for our characters, but a little risky, because if they suddenly said, okay, we're going to change things and shoot this sequence now, where's Huss and where's Simon? Several miles away, back in London, auditioning.
Check with your AD, kids. Always check with your AD.
We did. It was the AD we checked with, or the second AD.
Yeah.
I think he said you'll be all right.
We looked at some scenes from that movie too, and there were some critical moments in that that you guys were like, where you guys come busting through walls and stuff and run puppets down, and you just think of this and you think, wow, there's all these operators on all these characters running around that if you blow a take, it's like, okay, we got to put the wall back together. We'll come back to this probably in 2 days' time, maybe. I don't know what it takes to, unless they have a couple of backup.
Yeah, I don't think we went back to the shot, the same shot, did the same shot into a second day. I think we pretty much got everything on the day. But of course, you may have needed the set for a day longer. But yeah, smashing through stuff. So in the Augur's laboratory, which is amazing feat of whatever engineering, to have this thing going round and round and up and down, it's just really mind-blowing. And it was kind of real. It really moved. It was no trickery in it. Garthim come through the back walls was made of sugar glass, and they smashed through the glass, and yeah, that was great fun.
That set looked fantastic.
Oh yes, it was. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That looked great.
Yeah.
And I know what's that?
As my introduction to movies, I mean, the first day of shooting, we were on the Mystic Valley, and I thought, this is like, it's kind of almost 360 degrees set. It's 320 or something. It was really just amazing. You walk around it, it's properly functional.
Yeah.
Nothing gives way. You don't have to be careful about treading on it in case it breaks. It was just properly functional and just amazing. I remember my lunch break, I just decided to go up into the rocks and hid behind where there was just a light or two and sawdust and stuff, and I just sat there having a snack thinking, it's amazing. I'm in an amazing set.
And it
looks so fantastic on camera.
Yeah, that was the heroine for what would be your entire career. It's funny because the beginning set experiences are so definitive. I remember Ron Perlman telling me, who is our Scrooge, by the way, if we can get you out here in November. He said, my first job was playing a caveman in Quest for Fire, shot in the Highlands of Scotland.
Oh, he did that, did he? Oh, yeah. Wow.
And he goes, we were barefoot. He's like, so by the time I got to Hellboy, everything was much better than my first job. It like kind of factored into his psychology early, like, well, if I can just do my next movie, in shoes, I'm ahead of it.
Ray Don Chong?
Yes. Yeah. Everett McGill.
Directed by Jean-Jacques Hano?
Yes. With no dialogue. Right. All caveman speak. Now, my friend Carl Godley attempted a mirrored production, which was the movie Caveman with Ringo Starr. But different tone.
Ringo, bless him.
Yes, God bless him.
Ringo has done some funny performances on screen.
Yeah.
And they're funny because he's not really an actor, but he gives it a go and he has a great deal of charm and fun with the role.
Yeah.
He's in that Peter Sellers film, The Magic Christian.
Yeah.
Where he plays, which is weird. I mean, it's such a weird story.
Got to give Ringo credit for having the guts to give it a shot. I guess at that point, you might as well. You got to spend your days doing something.
Yeah.
You got your start on Dark Crystal. Perlman's on Quest for Fire, and I think those set experiences. You sit here and go, "This is really remarkable." It is. It is. It does become evident why you spent so much time perfecting your skill set to be a part of this business and all the wonderful things you've been a part of. Do you have a favorite? Do you look back and be like, that's my best moment? Or do you have like an uncanny favorite? Like I know people probably point to Jedi or Little Shop of Horrors, but do you have a moment where you're like, that's one of my unusual, that was a great moment there, either behind the scenes or in shot?
I like being the Gammorian guard who gets eaten by the Rancor. I like that whole sequence. So the stuntman does the fall, and I pick it up from being sort of in the process of getting up on one knee, and then and facing off against Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, and then there's the rumble of the portcullis behind me. I turn round and it's the Rancor appears, that sort of stuff. And when I had to run across the set to launch myself up this sort of incline, like a little pipe towards a little grill, because I was running across the set in the Gammorian guard costume, my my foot, the Gammorian foot, was kind of loosening up and fell off. And I thought, well, if they've not cut, they can't see it. So I was kind of had one foot off. I'm completely off balance at this angle. I'm acting in a huge fashion, like, ooh. So it reads underneath the great masses of green padding, green foam. Yes. And I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm having fun. I started to laugh. And because I'm just chuckling, the character doesn't look like he's laughing. You don't notice. So there's all this going on underneath the costume. And on the outside, it's just this mad green pig, kind of reacting against to a character that didn't exist at that point and didn't know what they looked like. So, yeah, that's a kind of favorite moment.
And that's a good one too. Do you remember like interacting with Mark Hamill during that? Did he have a sense of humor about all that, or was he being taxed on that?
He was a gentleman. He was really polite and he said something like, it's amazing. I'm doing this job. I get to meet with these top theater actors, because he'd done lots of scenes with, people who were, like you were saying about someone else earlier, they're shooting during the day, and in the evening
Richard Johnson
to get to the West to have to do their show in the evening. And I think Dermot Crowley was one of those who was in Admiral Modine in the briefing scene with Mon Mothma. Dermot Crowley's character. I think Dermot was doing something at the National Theatre.
General Nadine. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Now,
so I think he did his shooting, and then by a certain stage in the evening, he has to get a cab to get back to London to be at, I think it was the show at the National. Yeah. The National Theatre on the South Bank.
Now, I saw him in an episode of Agatha Christie's Poirot.
Right.
And that's when I realized that guy was dubbed. That guy sounds so British. I was like, who is this? This guy looks like that guy, but and it was that. He must have been, a little bit let down when the movie premiered, because he had a death scene that they cut.
All around, you've got the windows right around you, and all your viewing screens and stuff down in front of you. Proceed with the countdown. All groups assume attack coordinates.
Proceed with the countdown. All groups assume attack coordinates.
Don't worry, my friend's down there. He'll have that shield down on time, or this will be the shortest offensive of all time. Are all groups in their attack coordinates?
Are all groups in their attack coordinates?
Affirmative, General. All craft will begin to jump to hyperspace on my mark.
All craft will begin to jump to hyperspace on my mark. May the Force be with us.
And cut.
Cut.
A85, take 4.
Background action. Action arm and share. Cue down.
All craft will begin the jump to hyperspace on my mark. May the Force be with us.
Look around. The other way. And cut.
Right. Yes.
Which I think it's now available. So he's probably doing something similar to what you're doing, which is run around with all the outtake pics that nobody has yet, and creating this market of almost illegal goods.
I've actually got such a wide selection of photographs now that I don't bring them to all the conventions anymore because there's always a couple that sell like 1 or 0. So now I'm kind of reducing my choice at conventions.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just bringing load of stuff that doesn't sell, which is a shame. But I got my collection up to a nice variety and kept on adding more. But some of the newer ones, they really don't go.
I want you to put a pack together and let me know where I can PayPal you. We're going to auction some of that off, but I'll do a little write-up, a little press write-up on what the pick is, and we can talk about the floor slug. the famous floor slug
6,
missing from.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do something like along those lines. Circling back though to that scene where you're in the pit.
Yes.
Can you see your foot coming off when you're running for the crawl space?
No, not in the wide shot. No, and then it goes into a medium close shot, I think. So it is off. It is off the camera. Yeah.
Wow, gold. Simon, you're a true professional.
When I did a convention a couple of years ago in Rochester, upstate New York, and there was a stunt guy there called Joe Gibson, who said, because he was a stunt, he said he was in the Gammorian guard costume, and he did the run across the stage and trod on a board with a nail sticking up it. And they had to stop shooting, and so he's injured. And I thought, wow, maybe they tried it first with the stuntman, and then Joe was off in the medical center or whatever, and they said, oh, Simon, would you like to do it? Because I suppose, technically speaking, running might, I don't know, is it a stunt, is it not? Who knows? But anyway, that's because I was surprised when he said he did the run. I thought, well, no, I did that. So it's quite weird.
Well, it's also interesting to know who did what on what day. And there are those moments too.
Yeah.
Other actors have said something similar where I was doing this and then we were moved. And then like Ralph Morris talks about how he literally had to keep David Prowse entertained somewhere at the studio because they were shooting the reveal of Darth Vader with Sebastian.
Oh, and he didn't want, yes.
Yeah, they didn't want him to know. And Ralph says, we had the job of doing like a fake promo shoot in our costumes for photographers while they were shooting this thing because they knew that was the only way to keep David Prowse anchored was in front of a photographer's camera. Don't move, we're shooting this. And then he got the cue. He's like, they said, okay, we're done. Like, you guys can all relax. And they said they started playing poker or cards or something with him to kind of, but he also said that he kind of felt terrible later because he felt he was part of like the racket that like deceived Prowse,
Yes. Oh God. So that, just to avoid hurting his feelings or having to say, we don't want your face, Dave. We want Sebastian Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah, but they do cast faces, as Sergio Leone famously told us. Sometimes they cast faces, and we've seen it throughout the dawn of time. A character is a character, but the face is something they want that maybe can't deliver the performance the way they wanted, but gives you the look, as we all know. But it's interesting because Morse was saying something about the scene where Luke gets captured and turned over to Darth Vader, and he goes, and that's me as a stormtrooper looking at me. Because they just told me, all right, stand behind him now. So I'm standing behind Darth Vader, and then I'm standing behind Luke. So there's all these moments where, everyone jumps in utility fashion, like whatever you need. Like, I can do this. But let me tell you something. If you want to see a Shakespearean moment, if you want to see a Laurence Olivier type moment, look for Simon Williamson as that Gammorian guard trying to get out of that death grip of that.
No, you need, for Shakespeare, you need the verbals.
That's true.
For it to be Shakespeare, it's not about action; it's all about the words, really.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. However, the verbals that day were Simon laughing in his costume because he realizes
I might have been laughing in a Shakespearean fashion. You look around where you slap your thigh and you have a tumbler of ale and you go, beer ho, wine ho.
Exactly. Maiden, I'm still sober. Yeah, it's one of those moments where you can't help but appreciate. Look, I'm in a costume. I'm in a Star Wars film. I'm being paid to do it, and I've lost my foot.
Mm.
God bless the film industry.
The other reason why I rather like that sequence is because, as you just talked about, I'm the Gammorian guard in the pit. I'm also one of the Gammorian guards looking down at myself in the pit. So I'm just next door to Paul Springer as Rees.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And we're all going, shouting, because it's two shots. It's shots down here, and then a high angle shot looking down and low angle shot looking up of all the people crowded around Jabba's the pit, looking down and jeering and cheering, etc.
So from a film production textbook standpoint, you are now the second Star Wars actor who's looking at himself in a sequence.
At least the second. I'm sure there are more.
There probably are more, but that's the second I've heard of. But that's a good one. I know Brian Wheeler signs the pictures of his Jawa looking down. Like that's one of his favorite, Yeah. And he said, I said, when was the day when you knew Richard Marquand was a good director? Expecting something grand to come from him, and he goes, the day he told me I could be a Jawa as well as an Ewok. Obviously, the day he got more work was the day, But yeah, it's interesting that you guys have sort of created this magic around that sequence for the fans, if they're fortunate enough to be in the room with you at a convention or at a concert. Because you guys are all good in a room telling your stories, and you guys are all good together.
Yeah. We're a fun crowd, and that's the good thing about these conventions is that you bump into people that sometimes you haven't seen them for a couple of years. Sometimes it's a lot longer.
Have you come across an actor from the cast years after you were done and introduced yourself as an actor in the film and had a moment, or has that opportunity never surfaced? Did you ever come across like the Emperor or Harrison Ford or?
No, I actually had an audition for Ian McDiarmid.
Really?
When Ian McDiarmid was running the Almeida Theatre as their artistic director. So I had this, I can't remember what the play was. I think it was a Howard Barker play. Might have been Year of the Dog or something of the dog. I didn't get the job, but I was able to say, oh, well, we were on the same film, blah, blah, what it was. And he said, oh, and I said, and I told him a story. Now, I was in a kind of flat share, and this was probably about a year or so after Return of the Jedi. And I got in one evening, and my flatmate said, oh, there was a call from someone in America, somebody Henson or Hanson. I said, really? I thought, oh my God, this will be Jim Henson, or it's a new job of some sort. Wow.
Yeah.
And they were going to call back the next night, so I made sure I was in. But it wasn't Jim Henson. It was a little boy, I don't know what age, but I would think from the voice, anything from about 10 to 14. And his surname was Hanson. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm a big fan of and I'd love to talk to you about Return of the Jedi, and I can send you a big toy of Max Rebo. And I didn't even know there was a toy produced. I said, oh, well, that's very kind of you, but really no need to go to the trouble sending it all the way from it. No, I'd like to, and whatever. And he talked about stuff, and he mentioned he'd spoken to Ian McDiarmid on the phone a short while before. And I said, really? I said, but I think Ian McDiarmid is in the middle of shooting a film called Russia House with Sean Connery, possibly in Russia. I think it's directed by Fred Shepsey. Could be wrong, but anyway, Klaus Maria Brandauer is in it as well. So I knew kind of what films were around because I was looking for work, loosely speaking. And he said, oh, yeah, I spoke to him in his hotel room. So this very enterprising young man had managed to speak to me I think, large phone bill, and Ian McDermott over in Russia or Helsinki, wherever they were filming it. And I mentioned this story to someone else later. It might have been Mike Quinn. It might have been John Coppinger. And they said something like, oh, yeah, so-and-so was on the phone to them, this chap too. And he heard his parents dragging him away from the phone. What are you doing running up this huge phone bill to the UK?
Yeah. I figured at some point the parents do discover.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? There's no stopping a fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no stopping a dedicated fan. And you have to give that enterprising fan credit for making the effort and being civilized about it.
I'm surprised I haven't heard his name since in connection with the Star Wars films, because that someone that ambitious and determined, you'd think they're going to find a way to get to Marin County, go to Lucasfilm or wherever, or onto a set and blag their way into something in the way that Mike Quinn blagged his way into the Muppets.
Yes, didn't he? He gate crashed.
Yeah.
But in incredible fashion, which led to a great career that we're all glad he landed, because that's a guy who, I mean, Quinn is an endearing guy. And one of the things in one of my discussions with him that hit home is how he didn't have any friends when he was young, and the puppets he made were his friends.
Oh, right.
And when he told that story, you couldn't help but root for him even more, for more success than he already had.
Yeah.
And he's very enterprising. But yes, he did basically bum rush his way in, and Henson was gracious enough to recognize the enthusiasm and be like, let's do something with this kid. Yeah. But you know what we'll do is we'll cut this into a highlight and we'll post it up and we'll see if anyone responds and goes, that was me. That was me. And it's probably
Hanson, not Henson, but yeah.
Yes. So we'll see where it all goes. But I love those stories like that where people, and it's so funny because you were saying, oh, so I'll wait around the phone the next day for the job, because that's what you had to do then. So a couple of laughs on Quinn's innovative gate crashing technique. He should put that in his book if he hasn't already. And a young man named Hanson, who's out there in the world somewhere, who managed, who in the days of a rotary telephone managed to track down several actors, including Simon here, legend that he is, and the Emperor.
Ian McDermott.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, is great in Gorky Park. Have you seen him in Gorky Park? Remember that movie with John Hurt, where they're like the Soviet
I think
policemen?
I have, and I'm now thinking maybe I'm muddling up Gorky Park with Russia House.
Oh, it could be. Connery.
Whichever was the one of the two that was shot around would have been a shot in 1983. So it's a year or so after Jedi finished shooting.
Okay, so I'm going to say then it probably was Gorky Park.
Ah, right. Directed by Michael Apted, I think.
Yes, Michael Apted, who also brought us Incident at Oglala, masterpiece that was. But Lee Marvin's the bad guy in that. It's like Lee Marvin's final film.
Oh, right. Wow.
That's a good movie, man. But yeah, Russia House, you had the logistics right. It was Connery, and it was later, and probably was shot in Finland. But that's the things we do. Listen, when you come to this show, you get the same conversation we would have over coffee or a beer. We're not rocket scientists. We just remember our moments here. We just remember it as we can remember it. So whatever movie it is, I hope the film bros go easy on us if we said Russia House instead of Gorky Park. But we're the only fucking people who'd probably know that nonsense. Anyway, so Simon, what's next for you, buddy?
I have, convention-wise, I just done my only one for August, but I have 3 in September. I'm going to North Wales, a place in Norfolk where I used to go to school called Norwich, and Nuremberg in Germany. So I have those 3 in September.
Are you going to go stand in the spot where they blew the swastika up?
Oh, where is that spot? I'm not sure.
Is it the Sportsplatz, the arena there? I think the whole area has been leveled.
Gosh. Yeah, probably.
And rightfully so.
I went to Nuremberg before, and I wanted to visit somewhere on the day we were going back on the way to the airport. And I said, I'd like to go to the court where the Nuremberg trials were held, and then there's a kind of exhibition about Hitler, the rise of Nazism, and they said, well, you can do one, not both. But they said the thing about the court, because it's historic, the Nuremberg trials, they said it's still a working court. So it's not like a museum you'd see artifacts, preserved from back in the 39, 45, whatever period. It's actually seeing, Mrs. So-and-so saying someone's just pranged my car and I want the money. It's so I didn't do that. I went to the big exhibition, which was fascinating. It's fascinating. Yeah. And the 2 hours we had wasn't enough to take it all in,
It is fascinating. I know I have friends who've gone to different landmarks when they visited Germany, and it is interesting that it's still a court, and I do think that's the way to do it. Like, make it look like the prosecution of Nazi bastards is business as usual, not a special event. Like, this is what we do here, and we'll do it tomorrow if a bunch of people decide to wear a bunch of brown shirts and parade around town like clowns. That's my message. Like, go ahead and keep the court operational. But I would like to see it too. You couldn't get the two of us in some of these places in Germany because we would never leave. We would just Sherlock Holmes the whole place out. We would be way too interested in all that.
It's just, but it's the history of the place, and you think you know it.
It
but
is.
Then to see it room after room with a little plaque saying down and a little bit of footage, to see it like in that kind of environment, go from one room to the other, it's just
I was just talking to a friend. I had a really good collection of books of World War II history growing up that I added to, and it all started with William Shire's Inside the Third Reich, which he was a Swiss member of the press who was in the press pool with Hitler a lot of the time and wrote very honestly about the craziness, but wrote a great book. And he kind of started me on this journey of all these fascinating little plot lines within the context of the whole conflict. And at one point I picked up a book and I was telling a friend, and the entire book is stenographer's notes from Hitler's headquarters. And it is such a fascinating window into the craziness of those rooms. And at one point, they are having a discussion, like, to tell you how detailed it is, at one point they're having a discussion about East Indian British troops who've been captured and have now been formed into an SS unit, but are worthless because they don't want to fight. And like, that's like the discussions they had around the headquarters at times. Like, it went from the very big historical bullet points that we all know to these really intricate details of like the Indian Brigade, their uniforms, and they had like the turbans with like the Sikhs had like the turban wraps with like the little Nazi thing. And it was just like, you sit there and you're stunned at the amount of time, energy, and dedication that goes into destroying things, like military men are consumed with their functionality. I'm glad we got through it. And one of the primary prosecutors, I think, at Nuremberg was one of the big bomber pilots out of like the 75th Air Group or something. Wow. Really interesting people. I mean, you're too young to probably have anyone who fought in the war, Simon. I know you're about 29, but but yeah, you and me both.
No, I had until recently, but they've died. So in the last few years, but yeah.
For me too. Although my family was in the Pacific Theater, so yours could have been too. Yeah,
I think India.
Yeah,
my uncle Mick was in India and Egypt.
Yeah. It's funny because we were talking about somebody who was an extra on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he was a British actor who had to wear like the Nazi uniform, and he was like, "Man, I don't know what my parents are going to think about this," And he's wearing like the Africa Corps uniform, and it kind of led us to a discussion about how much we love the movie, but how ridiculous the sequence is, because Egypt was a British protectorate. So the idea that like a armed German force could go in there and start digging around, but you love the movie. It's just one of those things like, fuck it. It's like, I'm already here. I'm not going to abandon this movie now. I'm surprised you didn't work on that. That seems like a Simon Williamson credit to me.
I don't think I've ever been in a war film of any sort.
Oh.
I got a fellow actor a job in a well-known war film. You have to guess what it is as I tell the story. But the director, what he wanted, he had a casting director, but it wasn't publicized. But instead of doing the normal thing of actors' agents sending in photographs and CVs for roles and having a casting breakdown of characters, the director put an advert in the stage, and what he wanted was videotapes from people to play GIs, named the film, I think, and you were to do up to a minute talking about yourself, a 2 to 3 minute audition piece, and then a bit to camera of kind of like, your full on, your left profile, your right profile, etc. And so I did my video of this because I just bought myself a video camera, absolutely thrilled, camcorder, thrilled with it.
Return of the Jedi money, baby.
Yeah, it was eventually, sometime before. So I got my friend who was a Canadian to film me doing my American piece, and then I filmed him doing his American piece. He got the job, I didn't, and he's in the film. He played a character called Crazy Earl.
Okay, so
you have to guess the film or the.
I know, I want to. So a minute ago, I want you to continue to talk, but a minute ago, I was thinking it was a bridge too far because Jeremy Bullock, who played Boba Fett, told me a similar story. But that would probably be before early. Video cassette. Yeah. Because he did say they had to do something similar. Sorry, I paused it. All right, so let me bring us back. Damn it. I missed that shit with the puppet. Fuck, I turned. All right. So you were telling us about the story, Crazy Earl.
Crazy Earl was his character, yes, who gets blown up. He's going through some wreckage, some debris in this kind of Vietnam War.
We're talking Full Metal Jacket, it sounds like.
He picks up a giant bunny rabbit, a kind of toy bunny rabbit, and it's actually a bomb underneath it, and he explodes and he's killed.
Is this Full Metal Jacket?
It's Full Metal Jacket. So Stanley Kubrick was the director who said, let's get everyone to send in their videos.
Who's the actor that got hired? And I'm surprised Stanley made the mistake.
His name is Kieran Jakinis.
Okay. Yeah. And yet Stanley didn't have the insight to hire Simon Williamson.
To hire me. My American accent wasn't good enough.
No, what it is he looked at your performance and said, this guy's too good. He's going to draw. He's going to draw all the. He's going to suck all the attention.
Blue and a bit too elephant-like. So.
Yeah, this guy's too fantastic. With him in there, our stars are going to be overshadowed by this actor's greatness. So Leon Vitali was on. He was Kubrick's longtime assistant, and I worked with him at Warner Brothers. And he, they shot that in the London Gas Works. He said
Beckton Gas Works. Yes. Yeah.
And at one point they did like some heavy demo and like blow up half the town for the big Way City fight. Yeah. And they're blowing it up and they're like they're trying to give you the impression that grenades are going off and in 203 rounds and all of a sudden one of the walls comes down when they yell cut, just gives way, one of the structure walls, and hidden in the structure steel was an old German Air Force bomb that had been pinned in between the metal and the wall, facing down with the detonator in the nose.
Ooh.
And he saw that, and they saw that, and they said, well, guess what? We're done. We're going to bring in the demo group from the police department. And for 2 days, they took that bomb out. But it's just one of those fascinating stories where, like, you're literally blowing that section of London up, and it could have just been boom.
Mm. Yeah.
So crazy. You would have been a good hire for that, though. I think, what? I've always wondered what Full Metal Jacket was missing, and now I know.
Yeah, now you know.
I know. Simon Williamson as probably the crazy tank commander, or any one of those roles you could have played to perfection. Looking back, though, Simon,
I could have just been a customer of some of the Vietnamese bar girls.
Yes. Hey, The job is the job, my friend.
Yes.
You know, sometimes it's rougher on some days than others. Do you look, we were talking about looking back in all your moments, and you talked about the Gammorian pit, but do you have something, you know, even more obscure for our audience that is something that maybe a movie or a moment within a movie they may not know is so iconic? I mean, people know Jedi. Do you have another kind of like mark of professionalism somewhere that would surprise people? Sorry for the tough questions.
In the film world or television world. Not offhand. Nothing's coming to me offhand. So,
who was your favorite person to work with? That'll make you some enemies back home, won't it?
Oh yeah, all of them, darling.
you can't help but say it because that will come back to you. That question, that's the one question you really can't answer in our business, unfortunately.
Well, I tell you, Toby's one of my favorite people on the autograph circuit. You know, the two films together, as Hugh Spite and I did. So Hugh Spite and I get on very well together, but to do two films together, it's in the case of Toby because of his little shop of horrors.
Yeah,
so
it's impossible not to love Toby Philpott, and sometimes I think it's divine intervention that we're not in a room together more, the three of us. The one time we was at Universal Studios, where we destroyed the wine cellar. But
so you say. We were very modest. We only had a few red wines.
Well, let me tell you, if I've got the patience to let Toby Philpott lecture me about Bob Dylan history, then I'm blasted.
Yes.
But I do think it's divine intervention that we're not in a room together more often because you guys are so lovable, and it's like kids on a playground. And that's what you and Toby do bring to a lot of your work, your convention appearances, is it's just fun. You're just fun to be around. The work is the work, but the situation becomes much more fun, which is why, I was telling my wife, I said, we have to figure out a way to bring those two guys out for a Christmas Carol. It's not about credits or the Star Wars stuff or Little Shop of Horrors. It's just about they would make the experience so much more fun for all the other actors. They're just good personalities. And that's why we were like, well, we'll try to figure it out. And to reiterate, I've got shops that are like, we'll do a signing with them. We'll do a signing. We'll do a signing here. We'll do a signing the next day here on the other part of town. So you can hit a couple of places. And I'm like, okay, I've got a hotel. I've got the shop. Now I just got to bring in the sponsor to cover the airfare and the train fare to get you guys. And Toby, who I guess is going to Texas. Are you going to Texas too? Are you going to that?
I'm not going to Texas. Not to Rebel Scott. No.
Yeah. They're missing out. But he was like, I'll go. It'd be a nice final trip to America probably for him. And I'm like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh man, I've got to figure out how to make this happen. And it's so selfish because it's really just so I have a better time. Anyway, brother, we have a lot of love for you, Simon Williamson. You're one of our favorites. It's never a dull moment when you're around. I'm going to give the final thoughts to you.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll sign off. So what does the world need to know about the Simon Williamson machine?
He's hoping to reinvent himself someday as a writer or director of feature films or television. But it's hard getting there.
You know what, though? I can see you as being a good creative call for that. So you have my endorsement, and I would be happy to do anything I can to make sure you get to that point, because I think we need more quality entertainment, and you're just the man who can deliver it.
Thank you.
Simon Williamson, whose 9 different roles in Return of the Jedi all now have photos you can purchase signed. Thank God. There he is. Never gets old, brother. Never gets old. All right. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Hi there, everybody. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith here to talk to you about NMOSD. It can paralyze you. It can blind you. It can even kill you in a matter of minutes, but we are very close to a cure. And with that cure, could come a cure for cancer. So please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Appreciate it.